LNG, I'm delighted to be here this afternoon with you. Each of you in this room has played an extremely important part of getting this project across the finish line. As you know, we announced our final investment decision a little over a month ago, and construction started that day. So Rio Grande LNG will link the Rio Grande Valley to global markets, helping to close the global energy gap. It'll close it with Texas's natural gas that will be transported, exported, and produced in an environmentally and socially responsible manner. So this afternoon, we have a great program, I think, for you, and I'd like to introduce our speakers. The first up this afternoon will be Congressman Vicente Gonzalez, who will be followed by County Judge Eddie Trevino, Port Director Eddie Camperano, who will introduce his board. And then after he speaks, Port Chairman Steve Guerra will speak, Port Commissioners Ralph Cowan, who's the Vice Chair, John Wood, who is the Secretary, John Reed, and Tito Lopez. And then after that, I will introduce Paul Marston, who's the President of Bechtel Energy, and also my boss, Matt Schatz. So first, I'm proud to introduce and honored to introduce our first speaker, who is the Honorable Vicente Gonzalez. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about all the work that the Congressman did on our behalf, but it was not insignificant. The Congressman made a number of calls to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, wrote a number of letters to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and has been a tremendous supporter of this project. So, Congressman Gonzalez.
Thank you. All the way to the White House. Thank you for being here. I'm delighted to be here in South Texas and happy to celebrate this momentous occasion with everyone. It's an honor to celebrate the positive final investment decision for Phase 1 of the Rio Grande LNG project. For those who don't know me, I'm Congressman Vicente Gonzalez, now representing the 34th District here in this region. And I'm excited to see the strong community support that we're seeing behind this project, which will reside in the Port of Brownsville, the largest land-owning port in the United States with 40,000 acres. This $18.4 billion investment represents the largest greenfield energy project in the United States history. It underscores the critical role that liquefied natural gas and natural gas will play in the Rio Grande Valley, in the United States, and now in the rest of the world. This project is the first and only U.S. LNG project offering carbon emission reduction by 90%, so it's the first of its kind. We're real proud to have it here, and I tell all my green friends, including AOC and everyone, about this amazing project that we have here that really reduces carbon emissions. And I always like to say, this country has reduced carbon emissions by 50% because of LNG. I know it's hard for some people to fathom that. So I applaud NextDecade for its commitment to use renewable energy for its operation and its carbon sequestration program, which is designed to make it one of the lowest greenhouse gas emitting LNG facilities in the world. This is the type of innovation that will lead us to a cleaner and better future. And it's why my office and I have worked tirelessly to get the Rio Grande LNG project across the finish line. And we're going to continue to do this until it comes to fruition and we see the complete operation. So I'm excited to see this groundbreaking technology was greenlit by the Federal Emergency Regulatory Commission after sitting for almost 2 years. And I can thank my staff, who was amazing. I mean, we were on their ass every day until they got it on that schedule. So not only does this project produce a cleaner source of energy, it's also a once-in-a-lifetime investment for our region that will be transformative for South Texas and for the state of Texas. Rio Grande LNG will provide thousands of well-paying construction jobs and hundreds of jobs during operation for the residents of Houston and the Brownsville and the Rio Grande Valley. That's a huge economic benefit for our community and our businesses and collateral businesses that will benefit from this. Another way the project sponsors NextDecade is helping grow our community is by funding phase 1 of the Port of Brownsville's Brownsville Island Harbor Channel Improvement Project. Without this positive investment decision, the trickle-down investments from our region would not have been possible. For example, last year we brought $68 million to the deepening of the port for the infrastructure. That's phase 2. Without phase 1, we would have never gotten there. We would have lost that massive investment that is improving our channels at the port. So the Port of Brownsville is the only port in Texas where deep draft vessels are being built. We're hoping to do a lot more. We're talking to the Navy right now about decommissioning nuclear vessels here in our port, which will be the first of its kind. Each one of them are $1 billion projects, so it'll create a lot of good paying jobs. It'll complement everything that's happening here. I do believe the Rio Grande LNG project is critical to and a turning point for our nation's energy security, and I could not be more thrilled that it's happening right here in South Texas. As we strive towards a greater energy security and are poised to once again become the world's biggest exporter of LNG projects like these, we must ensure that domestic energy production in this country continues in a safe manner. We must seize every opportunity to invest in domestic energy supply and increase energy production right here at home. We have the capabilities to scale up production and provide our nation and our allies with the cleanest energy in the world. As Europe and Asia demand more LNG, and as we're seeing complications around the world in Asia and Taiwan, where we're seeing in Eastern Europe, we know that we need to support the energy sector in America. I'm happy to be the lead sponsor on the Democratic side for a domestic production, the Domestic Production Act, which means we want to support American energy, and America's national security, and we should not separate the two. So let's not forget Russia's unprovoked aggression towards Ukraine has reinforced the need to ramp up production here in the country and reduce our dependence on other nations. As you may remember, Russia, after the invasion of Ukraine, cut off energy supplies in Europe, underscoring the point that we cannot be reliant on other countries for energy, and we do not want what happened in Europe to ever happen to us. As our nation and the global community move towards a net zero emissions future, LNG is no doubt the cleanest alternative of traditional energy. 40% less carbon emissions than coal and 30% less than oil. One of the cleanest fossil fuels, LNG could help the environment by displacing commodities such as coal and up in places like Asia and Europe and other places. And I always use Germany for example. They invested heavily, even per capita, much more than us, on wind and solar and other clean energies, but had no real footprint in lowering carbon emissions because they kept burning coal. And we're off of that, thankfully, because of our heavy investment and abundance of natural gas here in this country, and we should take full advantage of it. I'm confident that Rio Grande LNG projects will help us continue to address the climate crisis as we move closer to a cleaner environment. And I know it shocks people when I say this, but I'll say it. Fracking has lowered carbon emissions in the United States of America. And that is a shocking statement. They may not like how sausage is made, but it's been very effective in improving environmental conditions here in the United States. And we need to keep supporting the energy sector of this country. I was the founder and I'm the chairman of the Oil and Gas Caucus for the Democratic Party, and I can tell you that is a hard place to be. But it's the right place to be. It's the right place for our country. It's the right place to assure that we have the energy security in case that during war and peacetime, and that we can share this energy with our friends and allies around the world. And I just returned from a trip in Asia. We were in Vietnam, and we were in Korea. We were in a few countries, and they all need our natural gas. They're asking us to send them more. They're trying to build terminals. There is a shortage of energy in many places around the world that we can supply. I was also in Australia, who are competitors, but they're friendly competitors, and we can do trades and exchanges with them. So there's a bright future here in South Texas. The growth of South Texas begins at the Port of Brownsville. And with that, I'll thank you so much. God bless South Texas and God bless America.